to jump into the game here. Looks like they actually did start. Caleb went first. Double Buzz, Trubbish, and Slugma. So this friend ball will be able to find everything. I misspoke earlier. So friend ball will get Marshadow only if your opponent has fighting Pokemon, but in this case, Rukan will have access to his entire deck.
He's able to grab it.
So looks like he has a Deoxys on the bench. He runs actually 2 copies of that card. Deoxys is a pretty efficient 1-energy attacker, good against psychic Pokemon like Buzz and Marshadow with its first attack, and then also it just, its second attack is a pretty good 2-shotting attack. So
yeah. So I think another thing, we've talked a lot about Rukan's list. Caleb ended the day as first seed yesterday.
Yep.
And I think what people thought was interesting about his build was he's jammed in the 1/1 Weavile line to give him outs to both Garbodor's Trash Lance attack and the Weavile attack. So he's tried to combine kind of the best of both the kind of Buzzwole Shrine archetypes.
Yeah, this is actually
do everything.
We talked to Isaiah Williams, the winner of round 9 yesterday, and Isaiah talked about how he worked with Caleb on this list. So we saw the power of that deck yesterday that Isaiah used to qualify or to advance in the final round.
Yeah,
so,
eliminating Pram. It's a big game.
Yeah, so we've already seen how strong this deck is. We've seen Gas Can, unfortunately, kicking the can down the road here a little bit. No Inkay, so not the start he wants to see, but we'll see how Caleb can take advantage. It's interesting, normally want to find a game plan to take out the Inkay right away, but they just don't exist currently. So, pretty interesting.
Yeah. No need to try to target it down.
So Rukan, it's Caleb's deck is all non-EX1 prizers. So the Deoxys is going to be very useful. That Mimikyu will be useful. There's a lot of stuff that he can attack with that aren't GXs because he has no counter to that Shrine of Memories. So he doesn't want to put too many GXs down if he can avoid it. We actually forgot. Oh no, Caleb just put it down this turn. So that Shrine will start ticking on the Marshadow, and it'll actually tick until the Marshadow is either knocked out or healed with something like Tapu Cure, for example. So, seeing Ultra Ball, he's going for Sneasel right away. Rukan already has 2 abilities in play, and of course, the moment he puts Inkay down, that'll eventually be more abilities. So Weavile is very, very strong in this matchup.
He's checking his prizes. He's looking for a couple of key pieces, making sure everything's available.
It's pretty interesting. Rukan has 32 trainers in his deck, but the only cards that aren't in there aren't 4 copies of is 2 Friend Ball and 2 Rescue Stretcher.
Yeah.
Otherwise, every other card you'll see, there are 4 of them.
Yeah.
So.
As you said, he's only running 4 Cynthias, 4 Guzmas, 4 Lilies. Like everything else is items. He can burn every card in his hand. Lickety split.
Yeah. So we see him put down an Inkay. And then he uses Mimikyu's first attack, Filch, to draw 2 cards. We've actually seen this card used a couple times. We talked about how the format is a little less consistent yesterday, and so Filch is kind of a crutch that some people have used.
There's been a lot of filching. I think we might have seen more filching than Copycat.
Almost certainly, yeah. So Caleb will play a Kukui. Probably not the draw supporter he wanted there, obviously. He's really just looking for energy. I think plays an Ultra Ball, probably grabbing a Macargo so he can start manipulating his top decks with Smooth Over.
He's like, let's skip straight to Smoothing Over. Here we go.
I don't know what else is in his hand. I don't think there's an Orangaroo, but he will be able to put a supporter on top for next turn. Rukan's not really doing anything himself either, so Caleb at least has 1 turn to figure out what to do.
Now, does he have a Lily in his hand? What is that?
He might. Oh, actually, he might have a Lily.
Nope, he passes.
No, okay. So that Shrine will tick up again. Rukan, his board is not terribly good, and he's playing a lot of items. So Trash Avalanche is getting more and more effective by the minute. That's 2 more items in the discard. I think there's already like 3 or 4 in there. This deck is gas, but
Well, how does Rukan find his board in such a situation where he can't find room for a 5th Pokemon on his bench? Even Caleb can't stand it. He's like, I have to neaten your board for you.
Yeah, Caleb is notorious for having a very clean and organized board. But Rukan doesn't care about organization. Rukan just has one speed, and that's go.
Yeah. Now, I am a believer in discarding a Psychic off the Acrobike. That's like the best reason to run an Acrobike in these Malamar decks is the opportunity to discard Psychic Energy and then Psychic recharge it back onto the board.
So he's got a second escape board. Caleb does have one copy of Field Blower, so he'll be able to discard both of those escape boards if he wants. That's 2 more items in the discard. Rukan's deck is pretty much entirely weak to Psychic, so it doesn't really matter now. He's probably at the point where Trash Lynch will just one-shot everything. Caleb's got Weavile. He's got Trash Lynch on this next turn. So he'll be able to respond with a knockout. And then we're kind of just going to start going back and forth here with these one-shots. Caleb draws. I didn't see what he put on the top, so I didn't see his top deck. But it looks like he's just going to start with Smooth Over right away. Maybe grab a Weavile, or maybe grab an Energy if he already has a Weavile.
That makes me think he probably put a Lily on the top of his deck, right?
That's what I would guess as well.
That way he could draw through.
Puts that on top, and he attaches an Energy. Rukan has no way of
smoothed over for the Beast.
Getting rid of that. I don't think so. He hasn't drawn yet.
No, I mean last turn.
Oh, sure. Could be. Plays DNC.
Oh.
I think he played the Lily. He didn't have a supporter last turn.
Yep.
So
those are some good cards to have in your hand.
Yeah, the Beast Energy wouldn't have done anything this turn. Rukan's not at 4 prizes yet, I don't think. Caleb probably wants a Weavile here, I would assume. I would imagine he put that on top. I think that's what it,
yeah, he's got the Weavile.
So he will get another Trubbish down, that's good. Next turn he'll be able to take a knockout with the Buzz, and then he'll have 2 Trashalanche to go through. He's still got a copy of Stretcher left. He's got more Buzz. So, and of course, that it'll take a couple turns, but there is no way for that Marshadow to not be knocked out unless Rukan devotes a turn to use Tapu Cure GX to heal it. Otherwise, Caleb can count on those 2 prizes. Here we see that Friend Ball. He can grab any Pokemon he wants. Caleb's got Psychics. Caleb's got Fightings. If Rukan had a Dark or Fire Pokemon, he could grab them as well. So very, very creative card. Players are looking for interesting ways to deal with the overall lower amount of consistency in this new format. And we'll see Rukan utilize Marshadow's ability.
He copies Psychic, I think.
Copies Deoxys' Psychic attack in the discard, and because Weavile is weak to fighting, that'll be a knockout. Rukan is actually playing this smart. He wants Caleb to attack and knock out this Marshadow, denying him kind of a passive knockout with Shrine.
Right, no bonus prizes.
But Caleb has a Guzma. He'll be able to get around that. So we'll see what he does.
He must have the Guzma because this is the Sledgehammer turn, right?
Yeah, that's what I would guess. He has a Nest Ball, so also if he can burn his hand low enough, he can find an Oranguru and smooth over the Guzma. But he's eyeing, I think that's a Trubbish he's eyeing. No, I'm not sure what. I think that is a Trubbish, but he's debating whether or not to take it. He does. Wondering if maybe. He kind of just wants attackers. He runs a 3-2 Garbodor line, so he can use his second Stretcher to get the 3rd Trashalanche in play. He opts to attach an Energy to the Trubbish on the bench.
He's got the Guzma in hand.
So
he's going to smooth over for next turn and play the Guzma. What does he knock out here? Mimikyu?
I would like to see a knockout. Yeah, probably the Mimikyu. I guess. Yeah, probably. He's got 2 Malamar and he's got an Inkay as well.
Yeah, he'll get Trashalanche back at some point with the Mimikyu if he doesn't knock it out.
Rukan can also attack with these Malamar. you know, it'll knock out the Trashalanche, because it does 60 and Trashalanche is weak to Psychic. So he takes out the Mimikyu. That does put another item into the discard as well. And the Shrine just keeps ticking here. Another skateboard. That's the third one. Gas Can has 4 copies of skateboard.
You can tell this is Rukan's not his first time playing against Shrine decks. He's been very just Ultra Balls away an army of GXs.
Yep.
No interest in playing those down.
He'll take another Deoxys. Deoxys, of course, a good non-EX to fight with this matchup. Attaches again to the Marshadow. Probably wants to keep trying to force Caleb to Guzma around it, so that he can't get the passive knockout with Shrine. The Friend Ball. It's his last Friend Ball here. Grabs the Ultra Necrozma. That won't hit the field ever. Rukan has a ton of items. He actually puts the cards upside down in his discard. That's how careless he is with his items this game. Does not mind that Trashalanche is going to be doing, you know, a million billion damage to his Pokemon. Just wants to go. He uses the GX attack of...
This is, what is the GX attack for Marshadow? I've never used it before.
He actually uses Necrozma's...
oh, that's a good one.
GX attack, or Necrozma's Prismatic Burst attack to discard all those psychic energy. And the Marshadow, of course, will have the escape board to escape if it wants to. Or he is hoping that Caleb will, you know, attack into it.
Yeah.
But, you know, Caleb will be at 2 prizes then if he does, and he has enough, you know, Trashalanche to close out the game, you know, take 2 more knockouts. So Caleb doesn't mind too much at this point. I guess maybe Rukan wants to go down on prizes so he could use a Moon's Eclipse GX the next turn. And gain immunity in the active spot and force Caleb to have a Guzma. But Caleb does have Macargo, so he can get the Guzma kind of whenever he wants. You know, if he doesn't have a Rango, he can't necessarily draw it that turn, but he does have Acrobike as well, so he can do that. Rukan doesn't play any Judge either, so every card in Caleb's hand will remain for the rest of this game.
Right.
So, I didn't see what he took with the smooth over. A lot of players have not been too helpful for us with these smooth overs, playing them very close to the chest.
We need the smooth over cam.
Yeah. Caleb Field Blowers discards both of those escape boards. Rukan still has one of those, but it does kind of affect his mobility a little bit. He'll need to find it or a Guzma. Or just have an attach and the third Malamar.
Is he looking for the Dawn Wings or to bring back the Marshadow?
That's what I would guess. Yeah, the Dawn Wings. So now, if he has an attach or that third Malamar, he'll be able to use Dawn Wings Invasion and jump into the active spot. And use Moon's Eclipse GX to go down to 2. But I think he just concedes.
Did Caleb concede or did he concede?
I'm not sure, actually.
I'm apparently so bad at Pokemon, it's not obvious to me who was in the most obviously losing position. I recognize. So Rukan Moon's Eclipses.
So Rukan conceded. He probably realized that, you know, even though he gains immunity that turn, Caleb only needs to take 2 prizes. Almost certainly has, like, the Guzmas he needs to jump around that for the last 2 prizes.
Right. I mean, the problem is you Moon's Eclipse and you go down to 2 prizes left.
Right.
And then he knocks out something on the bench. He smooths over into the Guzma, knocks out the bench. And then the next turn, next turn he can knock out anything he wants. He had enough attackers, and there was no way he was going to be able to take those 3 prizes fast enough.
Yeah. Rukan realized, he was very fast in the early parts of the game with all these items, And then a play like that would have been better if it was, in the mid game where a Dawn Wings might not necessarily have been knocked out from a Trash Lanch, but well past that point. Rukan starts with a Deoxys. That's much better. That means the Marshadow will not hit the board, and I don't believe we'll see any GXs in play this game for Rukan unless he uses a Dawn Wings at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about this is, there's no way Rukan's ever going to try to manage his items. Like, his deck is just not designed to control the amount of items he plays.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, he can...
And there's so much psychic weakness on the board, it's not like Garbodor's not going to take prizes every turn.
I mean, really, he needs to use items to find attackers. So, like, if his hand gives him, an attacker for next turn or something, he doesn't need to play items necessarily. But at the same time, if he's just going with this all non-EX strategy, if they're just trying to fight non-EX versus non-EX, then he doesn't care. He doesn't care if his Deoxys gets knocked out for 300 damage.
Yeah.
And it's going first is very advantageous for Rukan because that means that if he gets a decent enough first turn here, he can maybe set up for knockouts right away. And he has Lily for 8. That is the most optimal supporter in Standard. Triple Inkay down. He's got energy to attach. He's got energy in the discard. This is a phenomenal opening turn for Rukan. He has the skateboard. He retreats into Inkay. I would have maybe...
He doesn't want a Psychic next turn. He wants to start hitting for 120. So
yeah.
He's looking to retreat so he can Psychic recharge next turn.
But I would have maybe held that play, or at least just like pay the energy to retreat or something. I don't know, because Caleb has a Field Blower. Well, I don't know. I guess that's fine. He only has one Field Blower. Rukan's probably realizing he has enough escape boards to
Yeah, he's
get
got
out
3
of this.
escape boards. He may already have another one in hand. It's going to be fine.
Caleb, playing Ultra Ball now, probably wants to get, I would imagine, a Slugma in play or a Trubbish. Trubbish will knock out, or a Garbodor will knock out this Deoxys in response. Buzzwole is not ready to do that yet. He's not at 4 prizes. So
I'm interested in your take. I feel like the key thing that I've seen when playing matchups like this is you want to try and avoid the letting him attack with Buzzwole for the Sledgehammer turn, because I think the problem for Rukan is the last 3 prizes, he's going to have enough Garbodors and Weaviles to get there, right? It's all about, like, the question is, can you decrease the impact of Buzzwole in the matchup? If you put Buzzwole in a situation where it can take 2 prizes, then he's going to be able to get the rest of the way with Weavile and Garbodor. But if you're able to somehow try to limit the Sledgehammer turn and put him in situations where he has to use Weavile early, he has to use Garbodor early, then you can start to put pressure on him. Otherwise, you just don't have a scenario where you can prevent Caleb from finding all the attackers he needs to win.
well, I mean, Caleb's deck is, if there's one thing it's built to do, it's built to use Sledgehammer when your opponent is at 4 prizes. Yeah. There are no GX in the deck, so your opponent is forced to play into that. So he'll make sure that when Rukan takes 2 knockouts, he'll use Sledgehammer. But other than that, I mean, he'll need these Garbodor to go the distance. He's got double stretcher, so he can, he has a 3-2 Garbodor line, but he can definitely reuse a lot of the Garbodor. So he gets a pretty decent opener here. He has the Trubbish to respond. He either has Trubbish to respond for a knockout, or presumably he'll have Weavile if Rukan, gets some abilities in play. But Rukan only needs a Malamar and an attachment and, say, an escape board. But he actually he has double Malamar anyway.
Yeah. He's already discarded plenty of Psychics off that Ultra Ball of the 2 Psychics. He's going to get there no problem today.
He's got 3 Psychics in the discard, so he can actually use triple. He can put all 3 of the energy into play with Malamar if he finds a 3rd one.
So this is a better start for him, because if he can knock out the Sneasel early, he can stop Weavile from being a threat. That's one attacker that can take prizes against him easily.
Yep, and because he went first, and it's all a non-EX race, he'll he'll be up on that race, and because there's not going to be any GXs for Caleb to kind of get ahead of him, ideally, if Rukan doesn't, brick or anything, this will go exactly how Rukan wants it to go. Yeah, I'm not sure which one is his deck.
I think he flipped his deck face up.
Yeah.
Because he got confused when Caleb took his discard.
Yeah. That was a little confusing.
That was a little madness.
So he has the knockout here, and then...
Yeah.
Skateboard is the other card. It's not an energy. So, so now Caleb, presumably will push up this Trubbish. I don't know if he has a Macargo in his hand, but he's got a Lily at least, so he'll be able to draw. The thing he wants to do is find, at minimum, a Garbodor and another Trubbish.
Yeah. He's got the Instructor Rangaroo not prized this time. That's got to help.
He's he'll be able to use Buzz Sledgehammer on the next turn once this Garbodor goes down.
That's the Beast Energy. Discards the Beast Energy. What? I didn't see what the other card was. I was a little surprised.
He doesn't. The Beast Energy is not going to do too much. All of Rukan's Pokemon will be knocked out with Sledgehammers. So, the difference between the Deoxys and Mewtwo from Evolutions is that Mewtwo has 130 HP, which means that a Sledgehammer wouldn't knock it out clean. He would need like a Deancey or that Beast Energy. But Deoxys, that 10 HP, we see that so often in Pokemon where 10 HP makes all the difference.
It's interesting. Honestly, as I said, I didn't see what the other card he took off of the Acro Bike was, but I recognize. I mean, as I said, I think part of the challenge with Caleb's deck is you got to make sure you have enough attackers once you get down. Once Sledgehammer is gone, the Beast Energy lets you hit for 80 with Deancey on the board. It's a good attacker against a Mimikyu or an Inkay. In those situations, must have been a really good card.
So he would ideally like to find, like I said, some sort of ball to find Trubbish, but he also just played on the Buzz. So he's got a Buzz ready for next turn with that Sledgehammer.
Yeah, I think he wanted to make sure that he wasn't caught in a situation where he didn't have a way to get a Buzz into the active on the Sledgehammer turn, because it's coming again.
Attaches, and he'll Guzma up the Macargo, which is pretty, it doesn't take out an attacker, but it takes out a big part of Caleb's draw engine. Macargo is so crucial to finding every card that Caleb wants. Now he'll need to set up another Slugma. He's debating if he wants to knock out this Deoxys. Puts up the Buzz, so he's going to Guzma something. Going to Guzma one of those Malamars, most certainly. So we'll see. Or he could attach an energy to the active. And then next turn, because he already has the energy on the Garb, he can attach again to the Baby Buzz, which means that the Baby Buzz would be able to use Swing Around.
Right.
So this is the turn. It'll set him up for that extra energy attachment turn, because otherwise every attacker in his deck requires one energy. So that'll allow him to take an additional price. He discards the Slugma, and he already played one Stretcher. So if he wants Macargo back, he'll need to use his last Stretcher for it. But he just values more attackers in general. He has a Rangaroo, so he can still have access to some draw. Not as precise, but here we go. There's that attachment. So this is very strong for Caleb. That Swing Around is setting up for a future Swing Around. So we see the Dawn Wings come out. This is unfortunate for Rukan. He doesn't want GXs down. Knocks out the Trashalanche, but he was hoping to avoid this sort of thing, and he is unable to do that. And Caleb loves to see a GX in play. This is the turn he wanted. Now he can jump ahead on the prize race.
So what's Caleb looking for here? Like, if he needs a Weavile Choice Band energy.
No, he actually just needs a
or
Weavile and an energy, because Dawnwings is weak to dark.
Oh,
So,
right. That's rough.
and I think Rukan has also played a healthy amount of items, so I think a Trash Lance would knock him out as well. Weavile guarantees the knockout. So you need N evolution, you need the Weavile, and you need N energy.
Right.
Rukan disrupted Caleb's sledgehammer or swing around build up there a little bit by knocking out the auxiliary attacker in the Garb. So now Caleb is kind of back to that 1 energy.
Yeah. He's got the choice band too.
Attaches, so he'll need to find a way to get. He actually doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it.
I am not sure what Sneasel's flip attack does, but he attached a choice band and it's
taking a cargo out has really hurt it.
I think that's a knockout.
Is it? Oh my word.
I don't know what the attack does, but Caleb counted, and that seems to be enough. So Sneasel actually getting in there, doing some beat up of its own. Maybe they should ban this Sneasel as well, because Dawnwings was not prepared for that. Rukan's got triple Malamar now. He can still take prizes. He has Guzma. He can knock out that Baby Buzz. He can knock out this Trubbish, which is very strong. Take a prize. This gives Caleb another turn. Weavile will knock out this.
He's got to find the Weavile though. He's still got that Sneasel. He couldn't find the Weavile last turn.
Yeah, so if he finds the Weavile, he can knock this out, and he can attach to one of those Buzz again and get back into that position that he wanted with a swing around to close the game. But it'll need to start with a Weavile, and he has the Ultra Ball. So, and Rukan just understands what's happened. This Malamar is going to go down. He doesn't have attachments. So Caleb takes 2 very convincing and clean wins.